Hey, daily check-in for today, and a couple of things. I have been doing some writing on on my Boost program about social media and how it can be a force for good. It can be kind of a bit of a problem as well. And one of the things that we tend to do when we post something on social media is we get a little bit excited about the response, and it encourages us to check back pretty soon after posting whatever we posted or a comment that we've written, and see what the response has been, see how much engagement we've had, likes, comments, shares, that sort of thing, and how it's the uncertainty, it's the kind of the not knowing that is one of the driving factors behind this kind of chemical, this release, this dopamine response that we have in our brains that say, right, going to go back and I want to check, I want to see what's happened. If we knew, if it was guaranteed, then it wouldn't have the same draw. And that's what some of the studies into addiction have shown. It's fascinating, or it is to me anyway. And then I was thinking about that just a moment ago, coming on to do this video, how this relates to my little problem of feeling like I've got all these open loops with contacts, conversations I've had, irons in the fire, people who I'm waiting to hear back from, and I realised that it's almost the exact same problem. So I've got all these things, I've fired off all these messages, I've fired off all these communications, I've had these conversations, and I'm waiting for things to come back at me, and it's like, I'm excited, I want to know what the next step is, what the next thing is, what the next development is, but I can't push. I can keep going back, I can keep checking my emails, I can keep checking my messages, but then I've also got to think, right, at what point do I reconnect? What point do I kind of reach back out again and say, hey, haven't heard from you yet, just want to kind of follow up with this? And it's sort of making my mind explode a little bit. So I think I've come to the conclusion that I need to have a better system for managing this. I've at the moment got like a list on my phone, and I've also got a list on like an Excel numbers spreadsheet where I just basically say, well, like, here are the people who I'm waiting to hear back from, and I think kind of a sensible next step from that would be to say, this is where I get back in touch with them again. I started doing that with numbers on the computer, but I never kind of carried on with it, never followed it. It wasn't really a convenient enough thing format. The phone, I keep looking over this. What the phone is, the phone seems to be working quite well, because I've got like a list of all the people who I'm waiting to hear back from. Don't know why I did that for that, but yeah, I'm waiting to hear back from people, and but there's no kind of date with that. It's no, if you haven't heard by this date, then follow up and so on. And I don't like following up either. I'm still because if I'm excited about something, if I want something, then somebody emails me or messages me about it, then I'll be straight on it. And so because I'm like that, I expect everybody else is like that as well. But I know that they're not. So me following up, it's like, why I don't like getting on the phone and calling people up? It's because I've already told myself that they're not interested, that this isn't something for them, that I'm bothering them in some way. I can look back at masses of evidence to suggest that that's not the case. And actually it's only because I've tenaciously followed things up that things have actually come to fruition. So I just got to get over myself. That's the bottom line. I've got to get over myself and just keep following up, but have a structure, to have a system for doing so. That was one thing. I hadn't, kind of following on from that, I had an interesting phone call today with somebody from a company that a friend of mine is a sales exec in. And they are looking at launching a wellbeing program. It's a global company. There's a UK head office. And we kind of had this conversation, and I first of all had lots of questions for them to find out more about what they're up to, where they are in the well-being journey, what they're trying to deliver, and what they're already delivering, what their problems are, and so on. And then they had a lot of questions for me about what I do, about my background. It was actually really refreshing to be asked questions about, and for somebody to kind of identify after I'd spoken to them. They knew that I was a personal trainer because I used to be this guy as a personal trainer, my friend, and so they kind of said, okay, so, that I know your background is personal training, but a lot of that sounds like psychology and behavior change work. And I was like, yes, because that's what it is. And so she was asking me about my qualifications, kind of where my understanding, my knowledge comes from. And she sounded like she knew what she was talking about, which is really good for me. And I feel like I handled the call well, and I felt like I I actually felt pretty good that somebody who knew what they were talking about was asking me questions about it. And I was able to answer those questions, and actually I was able to answer them and feel really confident at the same time that, like, you know what, yeah, I do know what I'm talking about here. Not only have I studied this for the last few years, but I've got like a decade and a half of experience of putting it into practice as well. And more latterly, obviously, with more understanding and knowledge about what it is I'm actually doing when it comes to behavior change. So it was an interesting call, and then it kind of got down to the whole, what are your charges, what are your fees? They're looking for ballparks at the moment, so I gave them an idea of my speaking fees and an idea for my well-being workshops and follow-up program, my implementation program fees, which is a little bit different to the speaking. I think at the moment I'm more inclined to kind of get in and do more of the speaking work, even though doing proper wholesale delivery of workshops and online implementation is not only financially amazing to do that, but it's actually where I have the biggest impact, because I'm able to work with people on a much deeper level. But even so, I kind of feel like I'm tending towards the speaking, going in and doing keynotes and talks at conferences and events and so on. But anyway, it was I didn't often when I'm giving a kind of a price presentation, and I wasn't expecting to be doing that today. I don't know what I was expecting actually from today's call, but I just again felt really confident and felt really like, you know what I'm quoting here, these are my prices and I'm absolutely worth every single penny. And I felt really, really good and really confident about that. So not that I don't think I've ever not felt that before, but certainly in the past as a personal trainer, it's like there's a big thing with PTs that we don't like asking for money. We just like to do what we do because we're passionate about it. And then eventually you realise that actually I've got to earn a living doing this as well. And then you also realise that people really value it. They value personal training, they value coaching, they value businesses, value they're having a highly engaged, energised and productive workforce. And all these things are valuable, and I have a skill set that allows me to deliver on those promises, to deliver on those things. And they're my fees, and I'm very proud of it. So I kind of, for the first time, delivering that semi-price presentation, which was really just answering a cost, I felt good, felt really confident. So yes, overall, kind of an interesting day. Still got a few hours to go. I've actually been fasting today as well. I was going to try a 48-hour fast, but I'm going to can it at 24 because I'm feeling a bit hay fevery. So I'm not really feeling the love for the fasting today. So I shall, in an hour and 20 minutes, I shall be having something to eat. Anyway, that's my check-in for the day. And I'll be back again, as always, tomorrow with another update. Bye for now.